good, y'all? What's good, y'all? What's good, y'all? I'm just driving home, and I'm just thinking about like all the stuff I done been through. You know, all the times I've been faked on, all the times I've been left for dead, and just like, you know, really try to like backstab, and like, you know, all the opposition and adversity I've gone through my life. And I just was thinking like there was a lot of setbacks, man. And I'm digging myself out of one right now. But like, I just got to thinking like, how? You know? And like, what do I do? And like, you know, what's the process like? And I just was thinking like, I just start over, you know. And I was thinking specifically like, I'm in like a 3-year setback right now, and I finally have got back to the point that you know, where I was set back 3 years ago, and how I just kind of maneuvered back to when, you know, the 3-year setback start. And I'm just thinking like, that's the method. You know, a lot of the times in life we get knocked down, and you know, we meet people that kind of take us away from ourselves, and you know, we lose parts of ourselves, our mind, our mental, our life, our money, and we kind of just go a different route from there, you know. Or you know, you can even say that's, you know, you meet a failure, and then we just kind of give up, or we take a whole different route, even though, you know, we may have had a bunch of goals and aspirations and who we wanted to be and what we wanted to get to. And like, that's kind of, to me, that's the essence of failure. Like, when you fail, or when life hits, or somebody knocks you back, like, to rebuild the pieces is to go back to the drawing board in that same space, that same headspace. You know, it won't be the exact same headspace, but it'll be like, try to get back on that directional path, you know. And like, for me, like, if it's not the same for you, but like, before the 3-year setback, like, I had lost a job at Nike, and I went on this weird, like, I'm on this weird path now, but like, I've moved back to where I left, you know, where I had to abandon ship, and you know, I've got the job back with Nike at the same spot, you know. And it wasn't like it just dropped out of a hat. You know, I definitely worked for it. I definitely interviewed for it, and I definitely, like, you know, kind of manifested it, co-created it with God, or you know, I got back on my destined path. But it's like, when you get disconnected from a path, and if it's a path that you really like want, or that you set out mentally to get to, it's not always gonna go how you predicted, you know. And that's what weathering the storm is. It's staying in the vehicle regardless of the climate, regardless of the weather, regardless of the storm, and just staying the course, you know. Throughout these 3 years, there has been so much opposition. There has been so much change, and things that I did not expect, that I've had to weather. But I've stayed on my path because that's what my goal is. You know, I know where I want to go and what I want to build. So regardless of what bumps I've hit, I've stayed in that mind frame. I've stayed in the game. I've stayed in the vehicle. Sometimes I get out, but I get right back in. And that's, to me, that's what weathering the storm is. That's what kind of the method is of reaching a goal. It sounds simple enough, but a lot of the times when we think we fell, but you have to reconstruct what failure really means. It's not a loss. It's a breakdown. It's something did not go right, and that's what you need to correct. Whether that's mentally, physically, or environmentally. And it may sound kind of like cliche because it's, well, of course, yeah, I do that, but it's difficult. It's extremely difficult, especially, with a body with emotions and a world that's ever changing, but you do have to I do want to say, you do have to wrap your mind around that time is an illusion. And what I mean is, time works mysteriously, and God works mysteriously. And 3 years, it's been 3 years since I've been taken off my path. And some of the goal is it realistically it has to change, but me staying on this path, me staying in the car, I've been able to streamline the 3 years, which could have been 6 if I would have really got out of the car and just said F it. You know what I mean? And I'm still growing at an accelerated rate because I'm still in the car. You know what I mean? Of course, if you're in the car being the the directional goal, and of course, if I'm going 60 miles per hour and I'm hitting speed bumps, the car's gonna break down, and I'm gonna have to change speed. But that's a lot faster. It's a lot better than completely getting in a new car, and just abandoning the car altogether, and that's what the real essence of the reaching a goal, reaching something you want, moving towards a direction that you want to go in, and I'll say it again, a lot of people, they abandon ship, and for whatever reason, I'm not here to put blame on anybody, but because we're humans, and the body is, sometimes it needs rest. But what I'm trying to say is, if you stay in the vehicle, ultimately you'll accelerate faster than if you don't. And that's why, I thank my dad for installing the never quit mentality. Because the only time you really fail is if you quit. And quit is abandoning ship. And of course, realistically,